Hi Year 8, so we're going to be making sausage rolls today. So I have got my pastry that I've pre-made that we did in the last practical, and I'm just going to roll this out. Before I've started, I have started to preheat my oven, so I've preheated that to 180 degrees or gas mark 6 before I started to make sure that's nice and hot when we get there. The first thing I'm going to do is roll out my pastry. So I'm going to roll this out into nice long strips. So I'm just going to do one long strip first of all. Once I've done that, then I'll be able to cut it into two, and that's where we're going to get our pastry casing from for our rolls. So as you can see, my rolling pin is sticking a little bit to my pastry. You see where it's pulling up here. So I'm just going to grab some flour. And a spoon. And I'm going to very lightly just dust a small layer of flour onto my pastry, just to roll over it, and that will stop the pastry from sticking to my rolling pin. As you can see, look, that's all on there now. Okay, as I go, I'm gonna lift my pastry, just flip it over and do the same on the other side, because I don't want my pastry sticking to my bench. Okay. Now, you can roll out your pastry as thick as you want. I would suggest doing it relatively thin, because you don't want really thick crust of pastry over your sausage when you have a sausage roll. So I'm going to go for about 1/2 centimetre width on my pastry, just so we get a nice sausage roll flavour rather than it being all pastry. Okay, so I am relatively happy with the size of that pastry now. What I'm going to do is cut this into two. Okay, so I'm going to go down the long length, all the way down the middle, right to the end. And then pull up that side. Just move that out of the way slightly. Okay, so if you have got sausages that you have bought from the shop in a packet, so your normal sausages you have with, say, English breakfast or with sausage and mash, that sort of thing, you're going to need to take them out of the casing, so their skin basically. So unfortunately I don't have those sausages. I've got sausage mix that I've made myself, but all you'll need to do, I'll just show you as if this was a real sausage, is do a very, very light cut all the way down the length with the tip of your knife, just to break that skin, and then you're going to peel it off so you get all that mixture from the outside of it, okay? Once you've done that, then you're going to pop your sausage like that along your casing, and then we're going to roll our sausage roll over the top, or our pastry over the top, okay? So I'm just going to let you pause the video while you take the casing off of the sausages. Okay, so just remember, tip of your knife, just going to go straight down the length of the sausage. Don't cut too deep, you only want to break the skin, so really shallow cut. And then peel that skin off of the sausage. Okay, like a little jacket, just peel it off. Okay, so while I was waiting, I've just straightened up the edges on my pastry, as you can see, so I've made it really nice and square. Okay, and I've placed my sausage mixture along my pastry. Okay, can you see that? There we go. And I've made sure that there's plenty of space on this side where I can fold it over. So I'm now going to fold over my pastry, okay, and I'm just going to have a bowl of cold water ready so that I can dab my fingers along this edge just to make it a bit moist, just so that pastry sticks nicely, and we make a nice seal so that when we cook them they don't break open. Okay, so there's my water. I'm just going to dab all along this edge like that, my fingertips. Just use cold water, you don't want to use hot water. There we go, just so it's nice and damp. And then I'm going to roll my pastry over, a bit more water just on that inside lip. Don't worry if it tears a little bit on the pastry, okay? There's nothing to worry about. And there you go. Okay, so I've made a nice little casing. I'm just going to cut off any excess pastry that I have, okay? Again, make a nice straight line cut. There we go. Get that out of the way. And there you have it. So that's what it looks like on this side, okay? Just a little lip there. You might see that in sausage rolls that you have from the shop as well normally. Now, you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to squash that down with my finger just to make sure it's sealed. Okay. If you find that you have loads and loads of excess on the side there, just trim it down a little bit, not a lot. Just want it to be about same width as your pinky finger, okay, so your little finger. So mine's a little bit too wide, so I'm just going to trim off a little bit more all along there. There we go. Okay. Now don't squash it down too much, because what will happen is that bit will cook really quickly and then it might burn, okay? So you want to try and keep it together with the rest of the sausage roll. Now, next thing that I'm going to do is cut my sausage roll into pieces. Now, I'm really lucky that I have got a cutting board that has measurements on it. Okay, so it has lines all along the edge here that tells me in centimetres and inches where I'm cutting. So I'm just going to do that and cheat a little bit and cut about 4 centimetres with my knife into my sausage. Okay, so there we go, that's my bite-sized piece. Another way that you can measure it is with a finger, so that's about from the bottom of my nail on my pinky to the base of my finger. Okay, there's all sorts of ways. It's about top of my index to my knuckle, okay? But if you've got a ruler, grab a ruler. That's a really good way of doing it as well. Just make sure that it's clean, make sure you wash it beforehand. Okay, and I'm just going to repeat the process all the way down my sausage roll so that I've got lots of individual little rolls. And hopefully, if you're lucky, you'll end up, there we go, ooh, the same size. Now, it's really important that they are the same size because it means that they'll cook at the same speed as well. We don't want any cooking a lot quicker than the rest because then they'll burn, or they might take longer than they should. Now, so There we go, that's all of my sausage rolls done. As you can see, all the same size, and I've got about 7 out of that. So next thing I'm going to do is scramble up an egg. Okay, so that's 1 egg in a bowl, which I've already done, and I'm just going to give that a quick whisk. There we go, just to break up the yolk. Okay, and then I'm going to grab a pastry brush. Okay, there we go, and I'm just going to give all of my sausage rolls an egg wash. Okay, now try and get it all over. What that's going to do is give your sausage rolls a really nice glazed finish. Okay, so they're going to look nice and shiny, and they're going to cook nice and evenly and go a really nice golden colour all over. Okay, now it's really important that we do an egg wash on pastry, because one of the things is you always want to have it looking really nicely presented, and the egg wash does that really, really well. Okay, it also helps to bind your food together as well. Okay, so helps it stick together, stops it breaking apart when it cooks. Okay, so I've just got a couple more. Go over. Like so. Okay, so I'm making that sure that all of the sides are covered, it's not just the top. Okay, you want it nice and even all over, like so. Right, now the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a little cut in the top of each of my pastries, just a small line about 1/2 centimetre long. All this is going to do is just allow some of the steam to escape from the sausages just in the centre, so that you get a nice even cook, and so it doesn't make your pastry go soggy. Okay, so we would do this with pies as well. In a pie lid you'd normally have like a little cross, and you can get really decorative with pies. With sausage rolls it is good just to have a little line in the top, just to make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay, so now I have got a baking tray ready with some baking paper on top of it. I'm just going to pop these onto my tray, evenly spread out, just like so. Now those are ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to go and wash my hands very quickly, and then I'm going to put them in the oven. I'm going to do so wearing my oven gloves as well, and I'm going to put them in for about 25 minutes. At that point I will check them to see if they're nice and golden, and to see if the sides have cooked where the sausage is. I'm not going to take them out of the oven until they are 75 degrees on my temperature probe, and then while I'm waiting for them to cook, I'm going to clean up everything, make sure that everything's nice and clean, tidy and put away, and then hopefully my sausage rolls will be done by that point, and I can put them onto a cooling rack. So I'm going to go and do all of that. I'm going to come back once my sausage rolls are finished and show you the finished product on the cooling rack, and hopefully we'll have some nice tasty sausage rolls to eat. Okay, so I've had my sausage rolls in the oven now for about 30 minutes. I checked them about 5 minutes ago and they weren't quite ready yet, but they're a nice golden colour now, so I'm just going to grab them out of the oven very quickly. Here we go. So, very hot. As you can see, they're a nice golden colour on the top. And the sausage is cooked in the middle as well. I've probed them and they were 79.8 degrees. So they were well and truly cooked over the temperature. You've got a nice hard crust on them and a nice golden colour. So I'm really happy with those. What I'm going to do is put them on a cooling rack to cool down for a little while and then pop them in the fridge. They'll last in the fridge for about 3 to 4 days, or I can freeze them as well and they'll last in the freezer for a good couple of months. What I have to do now is cool them, clean up my baking trays, and I'm all done. That's how you make sausage rolls.